Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about the Judo tournament that I competed in this past weekend. It's the men's novice division, about just 180 pounds, 81 kilos, and over 30 years for this division. So let's jump right into it. First opponent is individual named Brandon. Brandon and I had a good conversation beforehand because Brandon's gi was actually technically a little too short, but they changed refs, and so the second ref didn't notice. He's going to go in for a bailed hip throw. I'm going to hit him with my favorite sacrifice throw, ukiwaza, and I'm going to score a yuko on that. So we'll just watch it in slow motion there. Boom. Now, of course, in jiu-jitsu, this is perfect for me. I'm in a great spot. I love this. This is excellent for jiu-jitsu. But in judo, this is only going to score me a yuko, which is like the lowest score you can possibly get. And we get stood up for some reason. We didn't know at the time, but the referee's looking at me because she can't figure out why the table is telling her to tell one of the athletes to remove an article of clothing. So he had a ring on, and so they called out a safety issue, and he removed his ring, and we're going to go ahead and resume with me having one yuko, not two. We bow again. That's unnecessary, but I found myself doing it a lot, pawing for grips here. A lot of guys like to get this they dive on this high collar grip. That was almost like a drop Hizaguruma there. We'll take another look at that. Or Harai, sorry. Almost like a drop Harai Goshi. I was kind of trying to go for a Taio, but drop Taio, but they all kind of blend together at this point since I'm so inexperienced. Now, the Nawaza aspect of this was pretty interesting to me. It's very paradoxical because in a typical grappling scenario, the person on top is not having to work anywhere near as hard as the person on bottom, but in judo, the person on bottom can basically conserve a lot of energy relative to the person on top as long as they're belly down, because they just have to stay belly down. And if they're pinned, they have to do a lot of work to get out of the pin, as I discovered later, but the urgency of judo is really a lot, both on the ground and standing. I mean, on the ground, you only have 10 to 20 seconds, depending on the previous score, and standing, it's just like this. Boom, fight's over, right? So he's going to go in, and he's going to get an angle. Again, he gets that really high collar grip. He's going to get an angle on me, and I'm just going to exploit the same angle and take him back the other way. Now this is, to me in my mind, I was like, oh, Tani Atoshi, but there's probably people who might argue it's some different. But as far as I'm concerned, Ippon with Tani Atoshi. That's how I see it. That's how I feel about it. That's what I thought I was doing. So there's the victory. Brandon was a good guy, and we were both first judo competition. We're just figuring this out, One of the things I'll note about pretty much all of these times that I slow this down is that it's like a 5 to 7 second replay. And so to me, what that indicates is that the decisive movements in a judo match, or the throws themselves, usually occur within like a 5 to 7 second window. It's very fast. So here we go for grips again. I'm going to do the same thing. But this referee is going to call Ippon. And both of us were a little confused by that. But that's, you win some, you lose some. And just a standard ukiwaza, or my version of whatever I'm calling ukiwaza. And I'm going to throw ukiwaza a lot in this tournament. It's going to be my go-to throw to start almost every match. And the reason is because it feels very safe to me. But in the long term, I know that that's going to hurt me. And so when I'll talk later about what I want to do with my judo long term, it's not going to involve relying on sacrifice throws as much. So Alex and I, Alex is tall, as you can tell, and I'm going to also, again, so kind of like a Taio, crappy Taio, and then an Ukiwaza straight into it. And I'm going to get a Yuko for that. And it turns out that Alex is actually a purple belt in BJJ. We talked afterwards. He's a green belt in Judo, so he outranks me in both arts. And he's quite tall. And at this point, what I've learned is that it doesn't make sense in the Newaza scenario when someone is shelled up. When you can't submit, which you're not allowed to do in this division because it's novice, is just don't. Just stand back up because you're going to waste a ton of energy if they've already gone belly down or into turtle. I'm doing really stupid things here. I'm like really kind of pawing at stuff with the feet, and he's going to take advantage of my indecisiveness and my lack of committed attacks, and he's going to just reach, boom, right over the top, grab the opposite lat, and just drop me down. I believe that would be considered a it's a Yoko something, a Yoko Garuma. There we go, a Yoko Garuma. So gets the Ippon, very clean Ippon. I want to learn that throw. It may not work for me because I'm shorter, but what you'll note about that is that as soon as I released my grip to try to break one of his, that's when he reached over. That's when he exploited the gap in my frame and my focus. And that's when he got the grip that he needed to wheel me around. So we're going to face each other again because that was the final, and we now had both lost one match. He lost his first round. I'm going to do a really crappy Tomonage and end up in, I guess in Judo, it's a pin even though your knee is in and you've got frames. I don't know. It's really inconsistent, but that's how reffing goes. I think, especially since referees are only seeing one side of the action, right? They don't have a 360-degree view. And now I'm going to kind of like force the issue a little bit more than I should. Again, that was kind of ridiculous. Now, are we in Newaza still, or did we both stand up? So, again, he steps over my drop Taio. I'm going to come up. He's up, and I push him right back onto his back. Now, did he fall back and have a crappy Sumigaeshi or a crappy Tomonage? Or did I push him back, and were we standing or not? Again, it's all open to interpretation. At the time, I felt that it might have been points for me for that to have happened because we both were on our feet. But I'm perfectly fine with the interpretation that was all part of the ground exchange. So here we are. We're gonna grip up again. And I'm going to do something pretty stupid here in a second. So he dives in on me, and you notice here I drop my hips back, and I push into him really hard, and boom, he's going to use that. And that was just really ridiculously stupid of me to do. He was pushing me back, and so I figure, okay, well, I'll push into you really hard. But he used that. He read it so well, and he just dumped me over and, scores a Wazari. So he's halfway there. He's in a pinning position at this point, and I'm going to just like kick really hard here. Boom, try to switch my hips over to get belly down. And I've kind of given up on trying to do a whole lot of Newaza because it's tiring and recomposing guard. Like, for what? I can't submit. So why am I recomposing guard? Just go belly down, right? Gonna jerk him around a little bit, and I'm gonna attack here because I know I have to. I'm way behind, so a little bit of sticky foot, try the Uchimata, and then he's gonna kind of, I don't know if he tries to wheel me around, and I stay on my feet. He's tired. He's very gassed at this point. He was stiff arming me out, which is why I kind of had to use that sticky foot. But I'm going to come around. I'm going to pass his guard. He's an exhausted purple belt. An exhausted purple belt is like a white belt. that's how being tired is. That's how it works. And so I'm just going to pin in like a really crappy, weird kesa. I'm not even really thinking, that's when I realize, I'm in kesa. So I should should hold the neck. And that was it, right? There it is. That's the Masters division. That's me winning the Masters division by Ippon 3 times, 2 off throws. The 2 throws were sacrifice throws, but that's life. So there it is. They give you a little sign. That's cool. Here are the boys, all of us on the podium having a good time. Doing the thing where we all stand on the number 1 position, which is definitely something that us Masters guys got to do for each other. We gotta lift each other up, fellas, because eventually we're gonna be 6 feet under, if you know what I'm saying. So, like a crazy person, I decided to also sign up for the senior division, which is basically the open division, because it's all the adults or anybody who's over 15 years old. Still no submissions, and same weight class. You'll recognize this individual. This is Josh Beam, and I'm gonna try to do an ukiwaza on Josh Beam, and he is gonna use his world-class purple belt skills and make me pay for it. I'm able to grab his bottom leg and kind of come out the back door here, and I'm going to try to turn him over, but I'm going to give up on that effort here, and they're going to call mate anyway. So now we felt each other, and I'll say Josh is fast, and he's strong, and I'm confident that he has intentions, like he has techniques in mind, things he wants to do. His grip breaking, you can see, is excellent. He's very good at grip breaking there. I try to match his grip, and I go for the pant because I'm a jiu-jitsu idiot. And in the moment when I realize, I've just committed a Shido by going and grabbing the pant, nope, I take my hand, crap, I haven't been thinking about what we're actually doing for the past half second. I've been thinking about the fact that I should remove my hand, and in that moment, he hits me with a super clean sumigaeshi. Doesn't manage to score even a Wazari on it, but now I'm on bottom. I'm underneath a world-class purple belt Masters athlete, and this is rough, man. I don't think I've ever experienced this level of pressure, given the intensity of the moment. Like in terms of the speed at which you have to act, right? Like in jiu-jitsu, I can chill here, but I have to move in judo, and that I appreciate that about the bottom aspect in judo. You really shouldn't be on bottom for long and chill there. You need to get out. Now the ref is going to stop us, and he's going to go talk to the scorers table and say that the pinning clock is incorrect, and Josh did not actually have a Wazari. And it should be at 8 seconds, so he's about to get a Wazari, and so I have 12 seconds to get out. And they're going to come back, and he's going to restart us, but the camera's going to screw up, and we're not going to get the full thing. And this is the last thing we're going to get on camera. And the last thing we get on camera is me trying to go belly down with a single leg, and Josh doing a good job controlling my leg that I want to switch over to the other side with his hand. So I lose by ippon there. I lose by pin. I eventually got belly down, but the question of whether I got belly down in time, obviously the referee did not think so, and that's that. So I'm happy to have competed against Josh. He was a nice guy, and I wish him all the best. Here I am with someone who's very tired. He's a young man, but he is tired, and I'm going to do something acrobatic and dangerous, especially in my old age. I'm basically going to cartwheel over this Tomonage, and I'm going to come around on top of the Newaza exchange. And I'm not even going to exchange. I'm just going to back out because I don't even want to deal. I don't even want to deal with that, And here I'm kind of forcing the issue, and I pay for it. Foot attacks, ashiwaza stuff, and a little, and I did not get rotational power on that Taio at all. And here we go. Boom. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to attack for kind of like a sticky foot Dayashi. He's going to back out of that, and he reads me like a clock, and I come in for an Uchigari, and he hits me with Dayashi. And I, no base. Go bye-bye. Right? So, Ippon. And, that's life. That's life. I was glad to have competed in 2 different divisions. I think if I was to do it again, honestly, I would just compete up in the Masters bracket. I think the injury potential in the adult bracket is too high. The stuff I was seeing, like that opponent was controlled, but some of the things I was seeing in the novice division for like the guys in their early 20s, I did not want any part of that. Way too dangerous for my tastes. The things I learned from my first judo competition: extremely fast-paced, high intensity, and therefore people tire quickly. So you do, 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes of competition judo, and a lot of people just gas. You can't be idle. You have to keep attacking. The times where I relaxed mentally were the times where I was thrown, both by Josh Beam and by Alex. When I relaxed mentally, that's when they got me. But at the same time, you don't want to attack just to attack, which is what occurred in my final match. I was just sort of spamming these crappy, foot sweeps, and that only is going to lead to someone exploiting your movement, as a good judoka will do. And so you really, if you're going to attack, you need to commit fully to the attack. You need to throw for Ippon. You need to attack with the intention that your attack will score Ippon. And that's something my coach said before I went to this tournament. And I was like, yeah, of course, every throw for Ippon. But every throw for Ippon. Attack for Ippon. And don't commit your balance to anybody. That's obvious. That's like one of the first rules is don't, let anyone carry your balance completely for you. And I already taught, which I did a couple times, and I paid for it each time. And I will say, just in Newaza, like, I talked a lot about that already on the groundwork, but when you can't submit, it really changes the incentives of top versus bottom and whether you should recompose guard or go to turtle, basically, or go belly down. So, all right. Things that I know that I need to work on here for judo in particular. Obviously, for jiu-jitsu, I think I'm doing all right. I was getting fights to the ground, and I was doing so in a way that often allowed me to be in top position. So I'm pleased with that. That I can put judokas on the ground and be on top. But as far as judo is concerned, and as far as like really being able to do this stuff very effectively in jiu-jitsu to get the throw immediately into a pin, I have to work on my tachiwaza. I don't want to just rely on my sacrifice throws. I think if you're in any way interested in the self-defense aspect of this, you have to be able to stay standing after you execute the throw. So Tayatoshi is great. I think I want to work on a seanagi, and I definitely want to work on I want to say Hizuguruma or Harai Goshi. I want to work on Harai Goshi. Kumikata. Definitely need to work on progressing my grips. I did a good job getting the initial grip set up, the standard grip, but I think being able to progress to deeper into their space so that I can get to their hip is going to be important for me. Stop reaching for foot sweeps. That cost me big. And then, of course, always the kazushi, right? I got to be able to generate purposeful movement so that I can turn that into a throw. So basically, I just need to get better at all of judo. All right, guys. Bye.